Hello, in this Java video we are going to cover arrays. So array is sort of like a data type. It's more of a data structure that allows you to store, data information, and it's of a particular data type that we've already covered, or even a custom data type that you may create later on. So an array allows you to store multiple values and just easily allows you to group them together. So if, for example, maybe you have a list of usernames, and instead of having separate variables for all of them, one, that'll be very hard to do, especially when you don't know how many you're going to have or when you're changing stuff. And two, it could just become unmanageable. Using an array, it allows you to store common data. You could store whatever you want, really. It's best to store data that has a common functionality. So first of all, to create it, you specify the data type. I'm going to put int, and there's two ways of creating an array. So I'm going to call it R, and you can either put a square bracket here, like so, or what you can do is put the square bracket here after the data type. Some people prefer this method, and if you actually look at a lot of Java code online on websites like Stack Overflow and programming blogs, you will come across it like this. So if you see it like this, it is the same as having it here. I sort of prefer it here simply because I come from more of a C background, and that's where you would put it. So I'm going to put it there, but you can put it in the other location as well. I'll actually put a comment. There's also int r or int are both, they are the same. So just so you know. Okay, so this just says we got an array. So let's actually use it in some meaningful way. So we can assign some values to it. So you press equals, you put curly braces here now, and in here you put all of the values that you want. So if I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, like so, we've created an array of size 6. The size is determined by how many values we pass in, and we can access those values by doing system.out.println, like so, and we could do ARR, so the name of the array, put square brackets, and now you specify, so it's saying red because we can't print it out yet. We need to specify which index we want to print out, or which value at which index. So if I were to put index 0, this is the first index, because remember computer starts at 0, so if we run this, it prints out 1. If we do index 1, which is the second value in the array, it prints out 2. And if we were to put 5, this will be the final value because it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if we run it, so we get the value of 6. You can also create it like this, so int r2 and 1 second. Sorry, I need to put R2 here. What's this one? Oh, sorry. That's more from a C++ background. Okay, so if we have a lot of values, then it can be sort of, I would say, cumbersome to be able to, print all of them out. So what we can do is use a for loop. But before we do that, you can actually get the length of the array. So system.out.println, and if we do arr.length, so you don't need the square brackets here because we're getting a property of the array. If we run it, it prints out 6 because the length is 6. Because there's one value, two values, not to my indexes, but the number of values in the array. And they all have to be the same data type. So you can't have an array that has some integers, some doubles, some strings, I don't know, some characters, some booleans. You just can't do that. There are certain languages that are a bit more loose with it, but most frankly aren't. Okay, so the for loop I'm going to show you. So loop for the array and print out all values. So I'm going to do 4 and do int I equals 0. So if you're a bit unsure about loops and what we're doing here, feel free to go back and check out the loop videos, and more specifically the for loop, and you'll be all caught up. Before int I equals 0, I less than, to make it dynamic, we do array.length, so it's a less than the length. The reason it's not less than or equal to, so remember, computers start at 0, as does the array, so we want it to be from 0 to, in this case, 0 to 5. And if the length is 6, if it stops 1 before, it'll be 0 to 5, so that's all of the elements. Put semicolon, do I++, so just a simple increment. And now if we were to do system.out, again, you can use these values any way you want. You can assign them to a variable, pass them into a method, which we'll cover later on in this series. You could store them in a database, it does not matter. So if you do ARR and put I, so because this is constantly changing every time the loop runs or every pass in the loop, we'll print out every value. So if I were to just comment this out, as you can see, it's printed out all the values, and because it's dynamic, we put 7, 8, you say 90. Doesn't have to be, you know, that use a comma. If I put 4, 23, 4, if we print this, run this, as you can see, it still prints out all the values because we're doing it relative to the length and not a specific length. And on top of that, we're printing it using the for loop as well. Obviously, you could do, you know, a variety of things. You could maybe add all of the values up. I recommend doing that as an extra task. Try adding up all the values in the array and printing that out as another extra task. Try using a loop to be able to go through the array and figure out which is the largest value. And there is one last thing I want to cover, which is the for each loop, which I'm not actually going to cover in this video. I'm going to do that in the next part in this series, which is just going to be really useful to be able to simplify this syntax. So thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll see you soon.